I recently sat down with the nice fellas over at the Cinema Beef podcast as part of their Sloppy Seconds segment, in which they discuss sequels. And who better to talk to about the sequel to Rock and Roll High School than me? I'll put the link to the full cast in the description, but for now, here's an excerpt from episode 147 of the Cinema Beef podcast.
What you doing with my time?
Sequel, let's give it a go.
With Hollywood stars
and more one-liner cameo.
We're doing a sequel.
I don't mean to be a stickler, but this is the 7th sequel to our original motion picture.
Oh, hell. Another Sloppy Seconds coming at you, people. I'm here with Court Syabs. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent. How are you tonight?
Fine, man. And we're here tonight also with a guy who's made a documentary about this film. He's working on it. He's got a good cut of it going on. He owns the Laserdisc of this film, being
Wow.
Rock and Roll High School Forever. Adan Gonzales is here. Yeah, there it is. So pretty. We can see the video.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Oh man! First of all, here's a quickly plot synopsis of this film. I gotta find the thing now because I'm slow about it. Here we go. So 1991. It's from Concord New Horizons, which is a damn Corman flick again. Gotta love these Corman flicks. Those rambunctious kids are back in school and back in trouble in a smash sequel to the 1978 worldwide hit. Corey Feldman leads a rock and roll rally at Ronald Reagan High, but must triumph over the evil plans of the school's fascist principal, Vadar. They call her Vader because they spell it V-A-D-A-R, so there you go. Sounds a little halted there. Who plans to halt the school dance and run their school like a prison. This stars a bunch of faces that you may know, including Corey Feldman, Larry Linville, of course, that Larry Linville from MASH, of course. Mary Warrenov reprises her role as the principal, kind of. She's kind of a robot in this movie.
Cyborg.
Oh, yeah. Leanne Curtis, you may know from some stuff. Yes. Jason Lively, who's in Night of the Creeps and European Vacation. There's a lot of recognizable people in this people. One of my favorite ones being, Stephen Ho, who plays Namrock, who's a hero of mine because he played Donatello in that Ninja Turtles movies. So that's as a kid that makes my heart happy. But I'm gonna kick it to you first, Adan. And where does the love of this movie come from for you, man?
Oh, wow. I remember being a kid, little kid, and it would play a lot on cable. And luckily, I grew up in a household that had cable, so I managed to see it at least a dozen times as a kid. And, it was all about Namrock for me when I was a kid. That, hey, this is not my pee. That was that was everything for me. That was the funniest thing I'd ever seen up to that point. And I don't know, throughout the years, I remember when they were still selling VHS at stores, I went and I sought it out and I found it. One of the first things I ever bought with my own money. I still have that tape. It's just stuck with me. It's such a weird little movie. I saw this way before I saw the original, years later, getting into punk rock and stuff. It all kind of came full circle. And I don't know, I've been questioning that myself. I don't know why I like this movie so much, but I liked it enough to spend a lot of time working on this documentary. And I'm trying to figure it out too. Yeah.
Cool. Court, I am on mute, am I now? Court, you hear me, brother?
Yeah.
You're up next, brother. Go for it.
Now, I've actually only seen bits and pieces of this film throughout the years, and just like Adan said, I caught it on cable here and there, and I would kind of find little pieces of it, and I think I'd seen the whole entire thing, but just spread out over years of just catching maybe the tail end of it or watching the middle before I went and did something as a kid or what have you. And it wasn't until I sat down to do the review for the show that I actually have seen the film start to finish in its entirety. And I think what we kind of talked about a lot of times when we talk about these types of sequels is when they emulate the original, it ends up becoming something that the people that love the original may not appreciate what it is because it emulates the original so well, and it just feels like a bunch of missed beats. We talked about that with Caddyshack 2 before. That was just kind of something that has happened for a lot of folks. And if this is something that you saw before you saw the original, like what happened with me with Caddyshack, and actually this film as well, it does hold a fonder place in your heart than what the original would for like other folks. And I think like what I can kind of distill down a lot of people's complaints about this one, because it is so much like the original Rock and Roll High School. If anybody had any complaints about it, what it distills down to is, where's Riff Randall and where's the Ramones? Like, that's their biggest complaints. Because, I mean, this movie requires no fixin' because it's got Mojo Nixon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a lot of fun with this film, and I got a lot of time for it. I actually really enjoyed watching it. Now, it's not one that I would definitely watch back to back with Rock and Roll High School, the original, but this would be the kind of movie that I could see myself watching to fall asleep at night as a kid tons of times. I just never got the opportunity to, and I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, it is exactly what it is. It's the sequel to Rock and Roll High School many years later, and unfortunately the original Rock and Roll High School was lightning in a bottle, and they tried too hard to emulate the original, and I think that may have hurt it in a lot of people's eyes, but I was able to etch-a-sketch that when I watched it, and I still had a blast.
No, man. First of all, I have to mention that this episode is brought to you by the First Lithuanian Church of Large Appliance Worship.
What a weird sequence, man. That's so weird.
Oh my gosh. No,
that is so weird.
Remember when Farmore was a thing, Corey? Remember that thing back in the day? Like
yeah, I remember Farmore.
I rented this from that store, and I rented a lot from that store. I watched it a bunch, because this is back when Corey Feldman could do no wrong in my adolescent brain, so I was watching, like, real trash, like Dream a Little Dream 2, which is nowhere near as good as this movie at all, you know, because I really like this movie. That movie is like, let's take this serious movie about these two young lovers who have, like, a weird out-of-body experience, and let's make it about with the Coreys having some magical sunglasses and shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's a sequel in name only in that case, yeah.
I think they keep the names, though, in that movie, which I always thought was hilarious as they was Dinger in that movie, Corey Haim, yeah.
Well, wasn't the other guy Dumas, but they kept calling him Dumbass to piss him off?
Something like that. It's just classic 80s. You can walk around, call him the black kid on the Cosby Show, Cockroach, and why not call Corey Haim Dinger, you know? Anthony Stabone on the Growing Pains, his boner. So, yeah. It's just so 80s, it's not even funny. But this flick, this is right where Corey was doing his thing, you know, with the singing and the dancing and stuff. And I know the Eradicators tunes were not played by the band, but it wouldn't have worked without Corey's swagger, because I really liked the tunes in this movie. Especially the Eradicators tunes, which I would hope that he would re-record with somebody. And I think you shared a video, I think in your doc, where he was doing one of the Eradicator songs live on stage.
Yeah, man, that was cool.
Giving the people what they want, man. You know?
That would be awesome to see.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, good.
Mary Warrenov was shooting back in this. You can tell she's having a lot of stupid fun in this role. I don't know how she feels about it, but she would have been hamming it up so bad if she wasn't having a lot of fun in this role.
She seemed to enjoy herself licking the hell out of that dude's chest, I'll tell you that much. Never saw that shit on cable when I was a kid.
Mary, she actually had 3 broken ribs during the filming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she broke her ribs skiing, and she was so worried that they were going to kick her off the movie. She like begged them, like, please let me do this. You know, my injury won't affect anything. And the director and everyone was like, does she really think we're not going to let her do this movie? Like, what the hell? She's Mary Warrenov, you know? And so everything you see in there with her jumping around and swinging all that with broken ribs, man, it's crazy.
She's a total trooper, yeah.
Licking that guy's bosom and whatnot, you know? Come on now. One of my favorite lines of the movie, she's licking his bosom, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my god. No,
her tongue is a machete in that scene, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed, man. If it's like the real Mary Warrenov, it'll probably cut you like ice, man, because she's a hip lady. She's a Warhol girl, so you know she's in some kinky ass shit.
Yeah, man.
And a mainstay of almost all of Paramount Paul Bartel's films too. I mean, they even had this weird thing where they had this fake rumor that they made up, like, or that Paul Bartel used to put on them, where he would say that they were a married couple even though he was a gay man. He just liked the idea of people thinking that him and Mary Hornoff were married.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just keeping up that illusion of the Blands. I love it so much, man. It's
Well, they're an amazing comedic duo. When the two of them work together, they are incredible.
For sure.
Yeah, this film starts out, I think, she tells you what kind of film you're going to get, which is really silly. Them blowing up all the toilets and shit. These are your ruffians, but the fun kids at school. It's very much like, Caddyshack and a lot of those other films. It's very slobs versus snobs. You get the rich preppy kids at the school that are always trying to, like, put them down, and eventually the film, get at them, and they, of course, have to get revenge, of course. And I think a pretty hilarious fashion.
Feels more like Animal House than Rock and Roll High School for this film.
Yeah.
And once I got into that mode of that style of comedy, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I had in the past watching it this time around.
Oh, definitely. What else? There's tons to talk about, and I again, the part with where they go to look at the refrigerator is one of the craziest things I've ever seen too, Cord. And I gotta say, it's like, why is this in this movie? But you know what? But once they reveal that they're wearing all that fucking cutlery underneath their fucking clothes, it all comes together for me, and I love it so much.
It's the most weird and elaborate prank I have ever seen pulled in a movie before in my life. And like when they do that reveal, and it's like the whole, like, your brain clicks and goes, oh, they're just fucking around and being weird to see how long these people will let them stay in their house. And when they do that, and then the people are like, oh my goodness, will you look at that, Edna? It's just like weird. Like they're pranked, but at the same time, the people are kind of like, well, I guess whatever religion they want to practice, that's fine.
Get in here, they're Lithuanians.
Get the camera, Edna. I love it. It's fucking weird.
And then, if you look real close, it's a real throwaway thing, but they do show up in like a Weekly World News magazine article.
Oh.
It's like a 1 second cut, but they show up on like the cover of like this Weekly World News magazine in this kind of great.
Yeah, man. One of I think the two biggest questions I've got from people, from other fans, is about the soundtrack. Everybody wants to know about the unreleased soundtrack, and everyone was like, "What's up with that refrigerator scene?" So I asked everyone that I talked to. Nobody knew what the hell it was. They were just like, yeah, I don't know. They came in, choreographed this dance, and it was just something we did. Or Leanne Curtis said she had to leave to pick up her kid, so it was a big rush for her. And it wasn't until later she realized, what the hell was that? And then they're just like, I guess it was a prank, the most pointless prank in history, but it was a prank.
Yeah, there's a lot of pranking in this movie, and I think that it fills it out, with this crazy plot with this principal literally turning their school into a prison, and of course they don't do that because they're rebels, man, and they gotta do what they gotta do. This film isn't heavy on plot, people. It's just fun, I gotta say, even the most annoying characters, because what's the little one, the little preppy girl, Margaret, the one with the pink denim with that teased hair. I don't care how annoying she is. It does it for me, okay?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Courtney,
I do have a.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I got a huge question that I just got to ask because it's something that I've seen speculated about on the internet all the time. The drummer character, who is very clearly like patterned to look like Corey Haim. Like, that was intentional, right? Like, did they want Haim in there that you know of, or?
Yeah, that was the third thing everybody wanted to know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I need to know.
Okay, actually, no. It was not intentional. I talked to Deborah, the director, and even she was like, that's the one thing people ask me, is was Corey Haim supposed to be in it? And no, he wasn't. Corey Feldman was actively trying to separate himself from Corey Haim. And actually, his buddy in the movie was supposed to be Alfonso Ribeiro. That was
wow.
It was supposed to be kind of a buddy comedy. Those two were going to be the main characters, but things didn't work out that way. And Patrick Malone wound up getting that part as the keyboardist, Jones. And so once that happened, they cut a lot of the lines out, you know. And then the thing with Corey Haim, it's the hair, man. It's Evan Richards had that red hair, and she said that she assumes that it was just a look that was in, and it was unfortunate for Corey Feldman because, you know, everyone assumed that Corey Haim was supposed to be in this. You know, I love Corey Haim, but I think Evan Richards brought it.
That was pretty great, man. That the scene where he's giving his book report is one of my favorite things ever.
Oh my gosh, yeah, really dark humor in that, and it's hilarious how he gets away with it using the beeper to be a fake pacemaker. It's so funny.
Yeah, man. We talked a little bit about that too. My favorite scene from Evan, there's a couple of them, but at the end, whenever I forgot, and that they see the video, and she's licking the guy, and then he looks up and goes, "Dr. Vader's a woman?"
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Well, thanks for kind of clearing that up for me. My final thoughts that I have to go to here, we've been talking about the refrigerator scene because that's going to stick with me forever, the appliance worship and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of trying to wrap my head around what it felt like to me. And this is what I was thinking. If David Lynch didn't have a dark, twisted sense of being, if he were attempting to make comedy, that's the kind of thing he would shoot. That's what it feels like to me. Only it wouldn't have been a prank. That would have just been a thing that they do, and you had to accept it.
All right. I want to see that.
Yeah, and I think that's what it sticks with me so much, because I'm like, that is so weird and so trippy and makes no sense, and it's kind of wonderful, right smack in the middle of the film. And it just kind of like, it pushes it away from the other film quite a bit, because as you had said, they were going to try and make more of a buddy thing, so clearly that's Kate and Riff. They're trying to do that with Corey Haim and whoever his friend's going to be, and I think you limit yourself when you try and do those kind of things with comedies. So when it started going off far field from that, that's when I started enjoying it more. And I really dug the quote-unquote witch girl that was supposed to be really bizarre. And
her name is Tabitha, by the way, which is a nice bewitched throwback there, you know.
Yes. Yeah, the character of Tabitha, whenever her and the drummer guy have this weird, quirky, awkward love story, I was like, that story could have been very well a romantic comedy in the 80s that they try to do, but it's just kind of like pushed into this film, and it's just like another layer, and it's really fascinating, and I was really intrigued with that, and I kind of want to see a movie with like that kind of thing.
The part where she's dumping all the food on the dish. If you're one of those people that don't like your food touching, you might throw up in that scene, because she's just dumping all kinds of shit on that fucking plate, you know.
And she points out the grossest portion of fat in that tray, and I'm just like, oh, God, what are you doing?
Oh, man. I talked to her. Her name's Bryn Hortz. She's badass, man. A really cool chick. She's still working. She does a lot of things. She had the best memory out of everybody as far as being on the film and working on it and all that. She was, if you watch it again, you notice she is very dedicated. Every scene she's in, she is that character, and everyone did good. But to me, she out-acted everybody, if you ask me.
You could have told me the first time I watched this as a kid that was just how that girl would have acted, and she was just thrown into the movie, and I would have totally believed it, because she becomes that. It's like super method almost the way she acts.
Yeah, it was. She told me a funny story. It's in the doc also. She told me that years later, it was like I don't know, years later, not that long ago, she was at some random party, and they had put up a screen outside, and they started showing this movie, and nobody knew that she was in it. Everyone was quoting it, laughing, and that she was standing there. Nobody knew that she was the witch. And all her lines, people were quoting them and shit like that. And then when she finally did go up and tell them, hey, I'm in this movie, that's me, I'm Tabitha, that they just flipped out. It was like, she said it was like she was a big celebrity that night,
That's crazy. How surreal would that be, to make a little film that you think everybody doesn't know about or just forgets about, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a joy fest that people are just worshiping the film just while you're there, and they have no idea that it's secret. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a crazy feeling. That no, if I was in this movie, I would think nobody is out there watching.
Well, that's like when Gary told me that we were doing this because you're making the documentary. I'm like, really? Somebody's making a documentary about that?
Yeah.
You know, it's such a strange subject, but now that I'm speaking with you, and now that I feel that passion and that love, and I'm getting some of the same camaraderie with you from that, like, I totally get it now. Like, I'm on board.
And I can't wait for y'all to see it. It's really come along since I showed it to Gary. Yeah, I've had it a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it too. But Court, what would you give the film itself, Rockwell High School Forever, 1 to 10?
With this viewing, I'm gonna say it is a 7.5 because it is right up above liked it, and it's just right below really liked it because I had a blast with it. You know what? Forget it. I'm going to give it an 8 because of that fucking refrigerator scene. I can't get it out of my head. It's a straight up 8 because of the surrealistic, weird thing. It goes all the way up to 8. And it's one of those, like, I don't want to call it a guilty pleasure because I'm not going to say, oh, no, I don't, no. I'm not going to hide that I liked it. I really, really enjoyed this film. It was so much fun.
Yeah, me myself, I dig the soundtrack I mentioned. I dig a lot of things about it, and I've loved it since I was a kid, and I still love it now. I own the DVD somewhere with it's a double bill with some other Corey Feldman film in which shows up in it, and I forget what it's called, but South Beach something.
Academy.
Yeah, there you go. It's double with that one. I was lucky to pick that up for a decent price, so I'm glad that I own that. Yeah, I think that your love for this film is gonna really lean on whether you could tolerate both films. Rockwell High School, which is a totally different film than this film. There's still a lot of hijinks in there and stuff like that, but it doesn't have the Ramones in it, obviously, but the soundtrack still really pumps it up, and a Ramones coffee cup shows up in this one, you know, with the replacement Eagle Bauer, which I think is, I love Clint Howard, but I love Eagle Bauer's hair in this movie. It's kind of great, you know.
It's so many years later, it's Eagle Bauer's kid. Yeah, he's taken over, and he's in the high school now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Severus, he actually popped up in this latest season, Mindhunter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So you kind of got that crutch to lean on. You can't say, you know, this was made like 4 years later. This is made, I think the original Rockwell High School is 1978. This is 1991. So you have enough gap in there to say, okay, this is a new crop of kids. This is a new everything. Just to say, hey, let's do it. And I know Mojo Nixon, I think he's great, but a lot of folks are going to say, and this is a fair assessment, he's not a replacement for the Ramones, and he's not, because the Ramones are throughout the film, the original film. And but still, it's tons of fun. The pranks are fun. I laugh every time I see Jason Lively smelling those fucking underwear, man. That makes me laugh my ass off every time, you know? It's so fucking weird, man. Oh, man. It's so great. But I give it an 8 out of 10, too. It's fun. You gotta remember, like, the film you're watching. It's not Lawrence of Arabia or nothing like that, but for the kind of film it is an 8 out of 10. It's pure fun. I have a good time with it. And if you had to rate it, sir, what would you give it 1 to 10?
Oh, man, you know, I'd say it's a 10 all the way.
I would expect nothing less from someone that's going to make a documentary about it, totally.
Get it? You know, I get why people, you know, they might watch it and just, whatever. But, like you said, it's pure fun. In the realm of bizarre sequels, it is right up there. Man, I wish I could. I'm hoping that once I get it out there and talk to more people, maybe I'll figure out why I like this movie so much.
Well, you live in the age of the internet, and I think this really helps your cause quite a bit, because there's people just like you, just like me, that rented this movie and watched it, you know, and didn't realize, you know, why they were watching it so many times. Yeah. But then have grown up and have grown a love for it to say, okay, now I realize why I like this thing, because it's got catchy tunes in it, it's got fun performances. Namrock has martial arts weapons in school for no fucking reason whatsoever, you know?
Because it was like the 90s and you could get away with that back then.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. because he was an Asian guy, and that's not his P. Is all I'm gonna say, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all his idea too. I don't know if you know much about Steven, but he's like a badass martial arts. Like he's like a competitive martial arts guy.
When I found out he was Donatello, that was good enough for me, man. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But this is where we're gonna leave this one. And as my buddy Eric would say, we'll see you all again in part 2.
Hey, Beavers, I made a mistake, and I didn't let Adan pimp his shit. He's on YouTube. You can look at for his stuff. I urge you guys to. Staunch TV and Staunch on Film. That's where you can find the Forever, the Rockwell High School Forever documentary trailer he made. And that's on there. And lots of great weird film retrospectives on there. He just released one for Blood Salvage, which is a silly little film that I did way back when on the one of those Halloween episodes, one of those mini episodes, and I urge you guys to go check all that good stuff out. He's working hard on it independently, so yeah, go brother. Staunch TV, Staunch on Film, YouTube, go check it out. Be fun.
I'd like to extend a special thanks to Gary Hill. Thanks, buddy. And be sure to follow Cinema Beef. I've been listening, and for fans of film, this is the podcast to follow, trust me. The doc will be out soon, guys. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things Staunch. Thanks.